Is this going to be another depressing holiday season for the Pac-12? And Jeff Tedford, we see what you're doing out there at Fresno State. MarkRogersTV, the voice of college football, taking in the Las Vegas Bowl, the annual matchup between the Mountain West and the Pac-12. So the Pac-12, the only Power 5 conference in play on day one, weekend one of bowl play. We had 5 big games yesterday, and Fresno State defeated Arizona State 31-20. So let's run it down. It became a duel of running backs. Eno Benjamin and also Ronnie Rivers. They're both just sophomores, so we're going to get a chance to see them play again for their respective teams next year. For Eno Benjamin, he owned the first half. This guy has been a workhorse, averaging over 26 carries per game in the Pac-12. And again, he was explosive in the first half. His balance, his power, his burst, his explosion is only matched by a few in the Pac-12 or in the nation. He led the Pac-12 in rushing. And again, the 26 carries per game, consistent, dependable, reliable guy. 23 carries for the game, 118 yards, but most of that damage in the first half. In the process, he became the all-time single-season rushing leader at Arizona State, breaking the record of Woody Green back in 1972. Benjamin running for 1,642 yards, again, the rushing champion in the Pac-12. But the second half belonged to Ronnie Rivers, who exploded for 212 yards, 24 carries, 2 touchdowns, including a big 68-yarder as Fresno State jumped out to a 10-0 lead and basically held off Arizona State for most of the way after that. They did go down 20-17 momentarily, but Arizona State just didn't have the offense to do anything in this game. They were missing, of course, N'Keal Harry, their explosive wide receiver who's preparing for the NFL draft. He said it was difficult for him to stand on the sideline. We saw many shots of him on the sideline, watching, rooting, counseling some of his teammates, advising them and so forth, providing support, but said that obviously he wants to prepare for the NFL draft. That was the best decision for he and his family. That's his decision. I don't necessarily want to see the kid on the sideline, but that's up to the team to decide and the coaching staff, hopefully. All right, so that was the big loss on offense for Arizona State. 73 catches, over 1,000 yards and 9 touchdowns this year for N'Keal Harry, and one of the more prolific wide receivers that we've seen in recent years, especially in the Pac-12. 213 catches for his career and 22 touchdowns, and they missed him not being able to throw the ball downfield. Kyle Williams, an excellent underneath threat, caught the 1 touchdown from Manny Wilkins from 3 yards, but again, stretching the field. Arizona State couldn't do it without N'Keal Harry, and they suffered, especially in the second half, with only 63 yards of total offense against Fresno State. Manny Wilkins had an up-and-down game. He was scattershot. He was all over the place, much like his career. I credit the kid for winning the job at Arizona State and then taking on all comers, including Blake Barnett, who came from Alabama, then had to depart to go to South Florida because he couldn't win the job against Manny Wilkins. But Wilkins on this day, 18 of 31 for a pretty ineffective 129 yards passing. Marcus Marion on the other side, he didn't have a prolific day for Fresno State, but finished his career as a winner, as he mostly has at Fresno State. He's an All-American baseball player. He actually competed on the All-USA baseball team just a couple of seasons ago. He started his first 6 games at Oregon State, if you remember. Transferred to Fresno State and finished his career with the Bulldogs with 21 wins and 25 starts. 21-4 as a starter. He threw 2 interceptions in this game, and that was part of 3 consecutive series in the second half in which Fresno State turned the ball over, but the defense was so strong and the Arizona State passing attack so ineffective that Fresno State didn't give up the lead. They only gave up 1 field goal on 3 takeaways by Arizona State. And Marcus Marion came into this game, so the 2 interceptions, not like him. 25 touchdowns, 3 picks on the season in the regular season. Also a key loss for Arizona State in this game was Merlin Robertson, who was Batman, they called him much of the season, but he was out dealing with family issues. Led the team in tackles with 77 as a true freshman with 8.5 tackles for loss and 5 sacks. So they definitely missed him, but he'll be back most likely next season. Nate Kelly picked off a pass, and Fowler Kelly, but they call him Nate. Nate Kelly, 71-yard pick six on a poor play by Manny Wilkins, who went play action, looked blindly, or did not. I guess you can't look blindly, but he threw out to the left flat, was blindly throwing the ball to the left flat, and Nate Kelly just jumped on it, read the play the whole way, went 71 yards with a pick six to put Fresno State up 10-0 with the pick six. And again, Benjamin and Rivers were exceptional as backs. Benjamin just, man, I really like watching this kid run the football. And I credit Ronnie Rivers. He only ran for about 500 yards this year, so we almost halved his season performance in this one bowl game because he was nicked up in the spring. He was nicked up about halfway through the season, battled some injuries, and came back and really finished off his season in fine fashion to prepare himself and vault himself into that starter's role as a junior next season after winning the Las Vegas Bowl MVP with 212 yards rushing. All right, looking forward to next season. Fresno State, after going 1-11 in 2016, reels off back-to-back double-digit win seasons. And Jeff Tedford, excellent coach, of course, formerly at Cal, was quick to say after the game that, hey, we're the first team in college football history. I would have to go running for the record book, but he states it here, the only team in college football history to go from double-digit losses to double-digit wins back-to-back seasons. Fresno State has only been ranked 3 times in their history in the final poll, and they will be again in probably their highest ranking. They came into this game at 11-2, number 19 in the rankings, so they will finish most likely higher than that unless there's teams right behind them that have more impressive wins. But Fresno State finishes at 12-2, the most wins in school history. They went 2-0 against the Pac-12 this year. They throttled UCLA early in the season, 38-14. Okay, Marcus Marion is gone. We mentioned his gaudy statistics this year, 25 touchdowns, 3 picks. For his career, 50 touchdowns and 18 interceptions, threw for over 8,000 yards. They lose 4 of 5 offensive linemen, so those are the guys that obviously protected Marion and also opened the way for Rivers to gain 212 yards against a Pac-12 front 7. So that's key. And also 4 key defensive starters gone for the Bulldogs in 2019, including George Helmuth, who had a big game with 11 tackles and 2 tackles for loss to finish off his career with 86 tackles this season, 6 tackles for loss, and 7 sacks. For Arizona State, Manny Wilkins gone after this season, threw 52 touchdowns in his career, 23 picks, had 2 picks on this day. But Arizona State is bringing in 3 prime quarterback prospects. Jaden Daniels, the second-rated dual-threat quarterback in the nation. Joey Yellen, the 12th-rated pro-style quarterback, and another pro-style quarterback, a top 20 selection in Ethan Long, all have committed to Arizona State, and Herm Edwards. All right. You also have to look at Arizona State and their level of competitiveness in this first year under Herm Edwards, and many of us, including myself, questioned this decision by the Arizona State Athletic Department and administration. But in finishing 5-4 in the Pac-12, they beat Utah, they beat USC, they beat Arizona, their rival, 41-40. They beat Michigan State in the preseason or non-conference schedule. Nobody beat them by more than 1 score in the Pac-12. They lost to Washington, Stanford, and Oregon by 1 score. They lost to Oregon 31-29. This was a very competitive team. So the Mountain West, once again for another season, wins one for bragging rights against the Pac-12. Of course, it's not necessarily a fair fight. The second or third best team in the Mountain West against what? The 5th or 6th best team in the Pac-12. But it is a Power 5 against a Group of 5. And after a 1-8 finish in postseason play last year, the Pac-12 off to a horrible start with the loss against Fresno State. Next season, the Bulldogs will play at USC. So after defeating UCLA and Arizona State this year, they play at USC. Then they play Minnesota, a team that they lost to at Minnesota this year, 21-14. But this year they get the Golden Gophers at home, and they also have Sacramento State and New Mexico State on the road. For Arizona State, they also play Sacramento State, but their schedule highlighted by a date at Michigan State. After they beat the Spartans this year, they take the return trip to East Lansing to take on Michigan State Week 3 after facing Kent State and Sacramento State. Would love to hear what you have to say about Fresno State under Jeff Tedford, Herm Edwards in his first season at Arizona State, and what's up ahead for the Sun Devils and the Bulldogs. Right here at Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football. Please like, comment, and subscribe to the best discussion, debate, and analysis you will find anywhere online right here at Mark Rogers TV.